Mushrooms are seen a lot in the Super Mario series. They're such a big part of the games that everyone has seen them at some point. And throughout the years, we've seen a lot of different types that do more than just increase your size. For example, the propeller and bee mushroom. These allow you to fly or get up higher in the air, a place which isn't explored that often in the games. However, out of these two, which one is better? Is the bee or propeller mushroom more useful in the games? Well, let's find out. In one corner, we have the propeller mushroom, an item introduced in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where it played a huge role. It's an orange-capped mushroom with 2 light yellow spots and a yellow propeller atop of it, clearly having quite a weird look. When you get it, your character will put on a jumpsuit with a large helmet that has a propeller sticking out of it, giving you the ability to fly up and end up really high in the air in a matter of seconds, allowing you to then slowly fall down. And if you leave the power up alone, it will eventually fly out of the stage, which is a small feature, but it's pretty cool in my opinion. Now in the other corner, we have the bee mushroom. It's yellow with brown stripes on the cap and acts as a power-up in Super Mario Galaxy and its sequel. It's first found in Honey Hive Galaxy, and when collected, it will transform you into a freaking bee, looking like the creatures who live in this galaxy. You're then able to fly for a limited amount of time, which allows you to explore the world seen in the Super Mario Galaxy games. And by collecting a coin, you can actually fly a little longer. So those can be important in your journey when using this power-up. Personally, I love this one a lot. I have to admit this. But I won't be biased here, because we need a real answer to the question. Which one is better, the bee mushroom or propeller mushroom? Well, in order to find out, we will look at the following points: their abilities, usefulness in the levels, and overall weaknesses in the game. These are crucial points for almost any power-up in the series. Now let's start with our very first point. When it comes to the propeller mushroom, it actually allows you to do a couple of things. Now, like I mentioned before, you're able to fly through the air, spinning like a propeller. And thanks to this, you can get really high up really quick. As soon as you're up there, you can gently float down to the ground, and the descent can be further slowed by shaking the Wii remote while falling. So overall, you have a lot of options with the power-up. You can get into the sky really quick, and are then able to land somewhere with precision because you're going down so slowly. This is great for getting to those out-of-reach sections or certain secrets that you only spot as soon as you're high up in the air. In general, they've done some amazing things with this power-up, and it's one of the best features they have added in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. However, there's more to it, because it can also be used as a weapon of sorts to take out foes below you. By holding the down button, you will do a crazy spin downward like a drill, which functions like an attack similar to a ground pound. Using this, you can also find all kinds of interesting secrets by drilling through barriers, as well as take out enemies below you. In general, it's really useful. You get up really fast, it gives you time to reach your target in the air, and you're able to come down with amazing force. But what about the other power-up? Well, like I mentioned, the bee mushroom makes you a bee, allowing you to fly like one. But only for a limited amount of time, although coins do help with this. Now, while you can't get high up into the air in a second, you have a lot more options during your way up, because you can completely control where you're going to right from the start. So that's a good thing for sure. However, thanks to the flying meter, you will eventually fall down or are forced to land somewhere to recover. As sadly enough, you don't gain an attack move when you obtain this power-up. They just don't allow you to use the bee stinger you gain, so you don't become any stronger. But it does give you some other powers that help with platforming, because you can climb honeycomb walls, cling to the queen bee, and stand on flowers and clouds. So while you can't defend yourself in this form in any new way, you have an even bigger advantage in platforming in the worlds it's found in. And this also helps with solving the problem of the meter, because there are a bunch of places you can rest right before it runs out. Alright, now that we know what they can do, we will look at which one is better in this department. When it comes down to it, the bee mushroom is way more useful when it comes to platforming, mostly because of the freedom and new things you can stand on and climb on. Even in a 2D game, it would have a huge advantage over the propeller mushroom. It might even be more useful in the world seen in New Super Mario Bros. Wii than the ones from Super Mario Galaxy. Mostly because there are more coins in those games and they can also be found in the sky a lot, which would help extend the flight time. However, there's one thing it can't do, which the propeller mushroom can: attack foes by using the drill down move, even being able to break through brick blocks, which can be useful, but it's only handy in very specific situations. However, this isn't enough to make it the winner here. In my opinion, the bee mushroom is better just because it allows for better platforming, which the games are ultimately about. And you can still attack as a bee. You don't gain any new ways of doing so, but a ground pound, for example, is still extremely effective. So when it comes down to it, Mario's abilities as an insect are just a lot better and more diverse. Now on to our next subject, their usefulness. Which one is best to have in almost every level of the Super Mario games, either 2D or 3D. We tackled this a bit in a previous segment, but now we're really going to get into it, because these two power-ups weren't created equally. The propeller mushroom is useful in almost every level of New Super Mario Bros. Wii and is very simple to use. So in that game, it certainly does an amazing job of helping Mario and his friends out getting through the levels. Even on airships or inside a castle, it can be useful to get from one place to another or even get over a gap. And in combat, you can just ignore any enemy by flying up and hitting them from above, which they never expect. All of this is effective in both 2D and 3D, making it quite an amazing power-up, to be honest. Clearly, it can do a lot, but what about the bee mushroom then? Well, it also has some amazing features. You can freely fly around, giving you a lot of movement options, allowing you to get over gaps, higher up in the air, and even past enemies. And of course, you can climb and stand on a bunch of new things, which is always useful. But there's one thing that makes it even better. By using specific types of jumps like a triple jump, you can use the limited flying more effectively, allowing you to get further. And this can even be done when going over gaps. And you can extend the flight time even more by using it less. Just make sure you remain high enough in the air and don't waste any juice of the meter on getting higher than that. This way you can get much further, making it useful in any 2D or 3D world you can imagine, allowing for a lot of options in all directions. So with both of them being quite useful, which one is better in the end? Well, the bee mushroom will likely be more useful in all scenarios, mostly because it's not limited to one direction of movement, which the propeller mushroom kind of is. So our insect power-up wins again. But what about our last topic then? The weaknesses of these power-ups. Well, this one is going to be a bit odd. When it comes to the propeller mushroom, there are a couple of places where it's not that useful. For example, in caves. Here you have a ceiling of sorts that could create problems, because when you activate the propeller, you shoot up into the air. And in a scenario like this, the power-up isn't that useful. But that isn't the only problem. If there's an objective high up, but you fly past it, then you have to wait while slowly falling down to get on the right level. This will make it harder to reach certain goals. You can still do it, sure, but it will take a bit of effort and waiting. And you will encounter the same problem when you want to fly over a long gap with a low ceiling. You won't be able to get high up and float over it. So these can be weak points of this power-up. However, the bee mushroom has some bigger problems. Because while it's overall useful and rarely faces a problem in any level you can imagine, there's one thing wrong with it. If you touch water when having this power-up, then it will go back to your normal form, and this is a huge handicap. As you can imagine, this would be a huge problem in any game, because water is seen a lot in the Super Mario titles. Heck, there are even water-based levels where you need to go through multiple sections filled with it. For example, going through a level that's completely set underwater would be impossible with this power-up. As soon as you start the level, you would lose it immediately, which makes using it for this world kind of useless. No matter what you do, you will lose it, which isn't the case with the propeller mushroom. And this problem isn't even limited to 3D worlds seen in Super Mario Galaxy and other games. Because even in 2D games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, we see a ton of water. In every game, there's at least one level themed around it. So, just because of that, I would say that the propeller mushroom wins this round. So, who's our winner then? Well, in my opinion, it's the bee mushroom. It's just sad that it has such a big weakness. Personally, I would always go for it, except in a scenario where water is seen a lot, because that's the only time where it's at a huge disadvantage. So the propeller mushroom has a role in the games for sure, and it's still really darn good. But the bee mushroom is just better in almost every other scenario, making it the ultimate winner.